Hey, everybody, welcome to the Most Excellent Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Keith, and with us today we have a drummer, a record store owner, a entrepreneur, a booking agent for his band, the nephew of Billy Squires, drummer during his big heyday in the 80s. Mr. Roger Chouinard, welcome to Most Excellent Entertainment, man.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's good to have you. So it's interesting how the world works. You posted a video for your band's video in a heavy metal group, and I saw it and dug it and was just like, hey, man, do you want to come on? And here we are. And yeah, sometimes it's that easy, you know.
It's old school. Like I still put flyers in gas stations at my store, hand out CDs at events. I'm wearing a Steel Panther shirt. I actually emailed Michael from Steel Panther, who's familiar with the band, when I talked to him. You just always try to push, you know.
Yeah,
everybody sees your name out there. Eventually, hopefully, somebody takes notice.
Yeah, definitely. So, for the last week or so, I've been listening to your music, trying to get a little familiar with stuff. And I checked out Drained, and I also checked out Closer to Kin.
Yeah.
And then obviously All Sinners, the new stuff. And so Drained is kind of like a traditional hardcore band, and then Closer to Kin is sort of like technical death metal, sort of, and then
that band should have made it. It really should have.
Yeah, there was definitely I could have seen that fitting in with the metal that's going on right now, you know, like yeah. And then All Sinners is more of like a traditional metal band, and you've even done some acoustic stuff. Your singer has a voice sort of similar to Dio. I think anyway. He sounds, you know, you can hear it. And that's three very different styles of drumming. So I just wanted to know, like, what do you prefer? Is there a style that you prefer, and like, how do you adjust to the different styles of drumming between different bands?
The stuff I play drumming wise is not crazy technical. So it's very simple, very up and down. I always say, people are like, oh, you're great. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, I own the van, so the band keeps me in the band, you know, and I do a lot of work. But I really take rock drumming. Like, if you listen to the Drain stuff and you listen to the CTK stuff, was a lot faster, a lot quicker beats. But it all stems from rock and roll beats. You know, you always want to have that person, their head bobbing, or just having some type of backbeat that person remembers in each song. So I really like, I guess I liked all aspects at that time. You know, the Drain stuff was early, and the CTK stuff, and like I said, it should have been big. We were playing YMCA's with Killswitch Engage and Unearth and Shadows Fall. Like, I booked Shadows Fall in like a place called the Beagle Club, and it was on flatbed trucks, which was insane. And you know, a couple of years later, they're on Ozfest. You know,
right?
And, I mean, they're great. They're all, every one of those bands I mentioned are super nice guys too.
Awesome.
But the All Sinners stuff I really enjoy, because it's music that I've always wanted to play. Like, we just did a couple of shows with LA Guns this past weekend. We played with all, you know, everybody that's been in my tape deck and my Camaro. I've played with even Ace Frehley, you name it. So I guess the most satisfying band is All Sinners, I feel, but I have fun no matter what we do.
Right on. Yeah, I noticed on the acoustic CD, your singer's like, Phil Lewis will be coming up, and I was like, hey man, that's pretty cool, you know.
He slept at my house, and him and Ace Von Johnson, and it was a lot of fun. And Phil took a photo shoot with my dogs, and it's funny.
Nice.
That whole gang is the best.
Yeah, I I had the singer for Kickstand Jenny on the show not that long ago, and he did a record with Tracy Guns. Um, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He was the singer on those
Oh
two
wow.
records. Yeah, he's got a great voice, and he just Tracy was he just said he was a professional. His tone's so good, and yeah, I think that a lot of the '80s guitarists have a really distinct sound that a lot of the newer guitarists don't have. It's all just crunchy, and it all kind of sounds similar. Um, but if you
Yeah.
hear Joe Perry, if you hear Joe Perry lead, it's a Joe Perry lead.
Oh yeah, 100%. He did.
Yeah.
They just announced he's going out with Chris Robinson. You
Oh,
know,
no.
yeah, they did a Perry project. It was a cool lineup too.
Awesome, awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean they've got to find something to do because Steven Tyler is pretty much done at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said earlier, Casey Tebow, the gentleman that helped us with our video,
Yeah.
he was in the midst of doing an Aerosmith documentary. They were going to do documentary and put it on a motion picture for the whole tour. And he's like, "Yeah, it's done. Like, not happening."
Yeah, yeah. He's got some throat issues or something, I think was what, you know.
It's sad to say we all get old. Like
Yeah.
I used to run faster. I'm outside doing lawn work today. I'm like, I know I'm gonna be sore tonight.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I was just one thing about Phil Lewis. Like I listened to the latest LA Guns album, and his voice has changed. He's roughened it up a little bit, which you kind of have to do, but you can still hear, the classic sound in his voice too. Like when I was a kid, he was one of my top three
Oh yeah.
favorite. So like him and Robert Plant, and then Jeff Tate. Those were kind of my guys when I was a kid. So.
Every one of those LA Guns records, like they're good. Like even the stuff that Tracy did without Phil and Phil did without Tracy, they still have some great songs on them.
Yeah, for sure, man. The newest album, I mean, it sounds really modern. Like they updated the production, but it's still got the classic feel, and
Yeah.
it's cool that they're back together and they're doing cool stuff. Um, so let's back it up a little bit and talk about what got you interested in drumming. I assume your uncle had something to do with it.
Yeah, I used to go see him obviously when he was with Billy Squire. So like I saw Def Leppard open up for Billy. I saw Rat open up for Billy. I actually became friends with the Rat guys and Steven and Juan and that world. And
Yeah.
they still say hi to me today, which is super nice. But they just seeing somebody, not only related to me, but that I know playing on a certain stage and stature, I was just like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. Like it's gotta be able to. And I've been doing it for a long time, and and I feel like I've succeeded.
Yeah.
But with this new record that All Sinners is, it's getting mixed right now. We're hoping that brings us to a next level that everybody can hear the record.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely my uncle and walking across the stage in 1983, 84. And I looked out at the Worcester Centrum and Rat was opening and, Billy went on. We were on the wrong side and I walked across the stage. I was like, wow, I want to do this someday.
Awesome.
And
Yeah. So you got to see those shows like from the side of the stage, like you got to watch. Oh man, that's awesome. And people today might not realize it because Billy Squire kind of quit music for a while in the 90s, and then he came back. He had some pretty cool acoustic albums later on, but in the late 70s and early to mid 80s, Billy Squire, there wasn't really anybody bigger than Billy Squire. Like he was all over the radio. Like you said, Def Leppard and Rat opened for him. So
yeah, he liked to put a band on that would push him.
yeah.
Like I when I book shows around my area, I have a band called friends of mine, dear friends of Officer X, and check them guys out. They push us like they're really good. We had the guys from Shadows Fall in another band, and we had them open up for us. And my singer Mike came up and goes, "What are you doing having us going on after these guys?" I'm like, I know. Why did I even do this?
Yeah.
The Living Wreckage guys, but the thing is, like everybody always says that about Billy, that he quit music or this and that, or something, happened. You know what? Name more than four artists that
Yeah.
have longevity in music. How the Poison guys quit music, as soon as the grunge came in and all that other stuff. And, with Billy, I talked to him, here and there and everything, and he's enjoying his life. He did his time. It would be like, what was the worst job you've ever had? Like that you'll never go back to.
I was a part picker at a Honda plant.
Okay. So if somebody goes, hey, listen, man, you want to do a 2-month tour being a part picker? And you're like, no, I
No,
don't want to do it ever again.
definitely. Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
artistically, I think Billy, fulfilled what he needed to do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't look at it like, oh, he gave up. I look at it like, he did what he needed to do. Music changed. The record company obviously wasn't going to push him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why
I
not?
want to retire someday. I want to
Yeah,
retire someday. I'd love to have like a dog sanctuary, somewhere far away, and up coast of Maine or somewhere on a pond. And you know,
yeah.
I'd like to relax someday too, and that's what Billy's doing. But
Right
Billy's
on,
always
man.
very nice and very cordial to myself, and we talk, here and there.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I actually have some friends who were going to open a dog sanctuary, but they couldn't get it zoned. But that's interesting that you want to do that too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have 4 dogs.
Nice.
They're great. They're
Yeah,
great.
and make life better for sure. We can't have pets in my house, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I
yeah,
don't have kids or anything, so I have dogs.
right on, right on. So you mentioned that you book bands in Massachusetts. Is it whereabouts are you located at?
Uh, I'm out of like Cape Cod area, so there's a few places that I at the end of the month I'm bringing up Babylon AD from
Oh, nice.
California. One that those first couple records are some of my favorites.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
also
yeah.
booked Dangerous Toys. So being being in a rock band, especially this one, we don't get
Mhm.
a lot of help. There's not a
Yeah,
lot, there's a few clubs that contact us, so booking guys, 100%. We do get some help, but I've always thought by myself booking the show, getting a bigger band, I take the risk, but I'm also putting my band in front of people.
yeah, for sure.
So
Definitely.
I've done that with Dangerous Toys for the past couple of years. Both shows pretty. First show sold out. Second was damn close.
Nice.
We might do it again this year. We just gotta figure out what venue we want to put it at. So I just try to put on local stuff, and I've done that since the hardcore days. Since the Drain days and the Closer Than Kin days, VFW shows, the backyard shows, the fests. And I guess I was a part of a lot of people's youth by
Nice.
putting on shows in the Cape Cod area, the Elks, the Eagles, the Lions, every animal
Yeah,
club you can imagine.
yeah. I think like the hardcore days, especially like the DIY ethic. A lot of people who I talked to who were involved in that kind of scene, regardless of where it was, I mean, they pushed their bands. Like they went out and booked themselves. You know, um, that was kind of part of the grind of being in a hardcore band, I think.
And it was a lot easier because we were younger
Yeah.
and didn't have a house to take care of. You came home and your parents were here. There was food in the fridge, and you didn't
Yeah.
have as many bills and everything. But
Yeah. Sure.
but I take that same ethical thought to all sinners.
Nice. Nice. So, I did want to mention real quick for people who don't know that Dangerous Toys fourth album is so underrated. I think it's their best album. I don't know if they play anything off of it. Probably not. They probably stick to the first couple albums, but man, that fourth record, if you think Dangerous Toys is just like a Southern ACDC, uh, they really explored some cool stuff on the artist formerly known as Dangerous Toys, is what the album's called.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And when the band plays, it's 4 out of the 5 original members, but it's Paul, the guitar player. I think he's on the second record. So it's like you're getting 1990, 91 Dangerous Toys. And
Yeah.
those dudes are 100% a lot of fun too. Those guys, you ever get a chance to meet them or talk to them, great guys.
Right on, man. Yeah, I just went to the Spirit of '89 tour
Yep.
not that long ago because Christian Shields, I'm a big fan of his. He's a guy from Texas who's doing like Dokken style style old school hard rock,
Yep.
and he opened the show. Um but it was cool seeing Trickster because I didn't like Trickster very much when I was a kid, honestly. But they don't have their original singer, but they have Steve Brown and PJ Farley, who were kind of the founders of the band, and they do vocals now. They share leads, and I think they sound better.
It's
Like they
not far off. Like it's really not far off.
Yeah, I really, really like. I saw them in their heyday, and I enjoyed the show more
Yep.
when I went a little while back. And maybe it's because they're not kids and they've had more time to, really hone their craft. But it was a good time, man.
Yeah.
So, and there's something to be said for like these road warriors, and going out and seeing people who've really put in the time and people who are dismiss it as like, oh, that's old guys. Like you're missing out if you don't go check it out for sure.
And sometimes you only get to see a band once or twice.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned you guys have a new album coming out pretty soon. Is that going to be on a label, or are you guys self releasing that, or how's that working?
We're hoping.
Yeah.
We have a friend of ours that's our friend Ron's trying to push us into the right direction. Putting out a record's a lot of. I don't know if you ever put out a record before. Have you ever?
No, but I'm doing a soundtrack for the movie that I'm working on. I did put out a single a while ago, but it was nothing. Like, I mean, it sounded really good, but I had no distribution. I put it up on MySpace. Like, yeah, so.
And MySpace used to be the technology of life at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I reproduced some singles and gave them to friends and stuff. Didn't sell any, and now no one has them anymore, not even me. And MySpace took the song down, so it's gone. Like it sucks because
we're trying to really put this out on a label.
Yeah,
like a friend of ours, Ron's he is, contacting a few people that he is in touch with, and the next step for us, I'm not saying they're interested in this, but they want to hear the record.
Nice.
So I'm hoping, because I put out the last couple records and it's a lot of work. I really feel this next record's very solid. It's very advanced. It's not as rock and roll. It's a little bit more metal than the previous EP. There's a few songs online already, and people could tell, but the final mix on this record is going to be, it's pretty metal rock and roll. So we're hoping. If not, I'll put it out and just keep on pushing. That's all we can do.
So the songs that are online, is that the Hunted and the cover of In the Dark? Is that what you've got out for this album, or?
We have Dead to Rights.
Okay.
You can find them on YouTube. So Dead to Rights, Into the Flames, and we just played We Own the Night the other past 2 nights when we New Hampshire and New Bedford.
Awesome. Yeah. I did check out the one YouTube video. I was just thinking about what was on Spotify because that's what I've been listening to. So once the record comes out, are you guys going to play locally, or are you going to try to hop on a tour, or what's the plan for that?
Whatever we can.
Yeah.
We try to play locally as much as possible and as least as possible. If you play too much locally, you get burnt out. Just not us, but the people that really enjoy you. It's
yeah,
it's tough to go see a band every weekend. So we try to time it. We're trying to do some stuff with LA Guns in October. We're hoping the record comes out in September, October. So we're talking to them guys. We're probably going to book some West Coast stuff. We did a weekend with Ricky Rackman and Ace Van Johnson, which was a lot of fun. So we might try to piggyback off some ideas that going through people's thoughts at this point. But we're gonna try.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man. So, on your Facebook page, you've got your two main pictures are with Lemmy and Dee Snider,
Oh yeah.
two legendary figures in metal. Like, um, was that like record store meet and greets type stuff, or like did you have them do an in store, or how did you get those pictures? Like,
D, I did an install with D,
okay,
but D, I worked with him on a project called Van Helsing's Curse.
oh nice,
So that was like a Trans-Siberian orchestra, but it was Halloween. Not a lot of people knew about it.
yeah,
It was definitely cool. It didn't take off. I kind of wish it did, but they had Derek from Overkill in there. Joe Franco played drums, so I was drum tech and I worked ADAT work. And I whatever anybody needed me to do, I did. Like it was a lot of fun, and I get to see a lot of places, and I get to meet D. And I mean, I still have a box in my room that I wrote the TS on when I was a little kid.
yeah.
And now he knows my name when he sees me, so it's kind of cool.
That's really awesome, man.
But when I worked for that, I hung out with Derek Taylor, which is the bass player. I'm sorry, guitar player from Overkill, and we just became friends. And he was, 10 minutes later, he's like, "Hey man, Overkill's got a tour in a couple weeks. We need a drum tech. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So
Awesome.
I was drum tech for them 4 or 5 years, I think, something like that. During when Ron Lipnicki played for Overkill,
Okay.
and those guys they were a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Those guys
I was a big Overkill fan when I was a kid, man. So I got kind of a funny story. This guy came through the drive-through when I was working. I was a manager at Burger King, and he had a big tattoo of a bat on his neck, like a skull bat. And I was like, "Oh, dude, Overkill, that's freaking awesome!" And he goes, "Well, actually, I'm a big Avenged Sevenfold
oh,
fan." And I was like, "Oh, dude!" And that's kind of how I got down the rabbit hole of like Avenged Sevenfold stole Overkill's bat. I was like, "Man."
and Dee Verney was not happy about that at
I'm
all.
sure. Yeah, man. And the fact that people are getting tattoos and they don't even,
I know. When I met Lemmy, it was actually on an Overkill tour.
oh, cool.
We went to Germany. Well, when I say Overkill, and then they were opening up for Motorhead, and a band called Valiant Thor was on the show too. On the 4 shows, that a really good band.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's the coolest tour I've ever been on. Buses, they played "Killed by Death," which is one of my favorite songs by those dudes.
Yeah.
Every single night. So I tried to pack the bus, pack the trailer by the 2.5, songs, by the second song.
Yeah.
Go see
Awesome.
that performance. It was fun.
Yeah, cool. So do you still work as a drum tech, or is that something that you did?
No, I did it for a while, and I had a twin brother that I lost. He passed away.
Sorry, man.
I appreciate it. We all go through loss in life, and the biggest thing in loss, you need to learn how to deal with it, or how to cope with it, how to better yourself. It'll always be there, but you just need to learn to better yourself with it, and get acquainted with that person not being there. But I had kind of had a tragic few years. I lost my parents, my brother within 2.5 years, and it put a lot of stress on me traveling.
Yeah,
because I had to take care of my brother for 10 months because he was handicapped. So I got out of that whole scene on doing the tech work and everything like that, which I'm not saying that I was bummed out. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'd probably still be doing it to this day, but I ended up opening up a tattoo shop with it, because I was home. I kind of just didn't want to travel anymore.
Right.
Now I'm back in this band traveling. So
I mean, as a drum tech, like as a tech for a band in general, like you get to see the world. You know what I mean? You get to see great bands perform every night. You mentioned you were in Germany. I mean, that's that's pretty cool, you know, that you even got to experience that. So
After the record store, I started to sell things at a flea market. I mean, I'm sorry, after
tattoo
the
shop.
tattoo shop,
Yeah.
I started to sell things. The tattoo shop was kind of going downhill. I
Right.
just didn't really enjoy it anymore. So I've reinvented myself a bunch of times in life. Luckily, I have.
Yeah.
And I ended up just buying and selling things. So I sold like little cars. I sold blue jeans. I've sold you name it. And then
Yeah.
I started selling records, and the record thing works. You know,
Right.
we're more of a heavy metal rock and roll store. Hey, more of a heavy metal record store that's modern and everything like that. Kind of everything that goes with the All Sinners stuff.
Awesome.
So All Sinners has its own mini mall there, and it's good. And it's good. A lot of the rock stars wear our shirts all the time, and I'll have to send you out a care package and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Um, so have you, I know you got some albums coming out, or you got an album coming out. Are you going to release it on physical media? Because I feel like CDs and records in the last couple years after being, kind of a downside have started coming back. And
Oh yeah, 100%. The
yeah,
acoustic record we just released, it's on record, CD, and tape. And then we did All Sinners did a record live at the Whiskey, which is on record, CD, and tape. Then the EP is on CD, tape, and we did a couple 10-inch records.
oh,
Um,
very cool.
so the physical media is fun. People enjoy it. But then for people that want to listen to it in their car or that don't have a CD or a tape player, you're able to listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, I had Mark Knight from Bang Tango on and Dave Alvin from White Trash, and they're both like big fans of releasing stuff physically, just because well, Mark has a studio in his house and he produces the CDs on his own and stuff, so he gets every penny, like he
Yeah.
puts it there and you sell, one CD, you make 10, $15, whereas Spotify, it would take so many streams to make 10 or $15, unfortunately. So
I will not too many people make a lot of money streaming, but the
yeah,
one thing I do like about something streaming, I, it, you and I connected.
yeah,
It's a good way to connect people,
yeah,
that are a distance from you, or
yeah,
someone in Japan, linking up to it, and it just that's what's good about streaming. And honestly, music has streamed all its life. It's called radio.
yeah, for sure.
That's what radio is. Radio is streaming. So
I think about that sometimes. Like I pay $12 a month for Spotify. Um, when back, I could have just turned on the radio, back in the old days. But with it being on demand and stuff, like I was able to catch up on your work this week.
yeah,
That's not something I could have done as easily a few
no,
years ago. So that's a good thing about streaming is I found so many cool new bands from either Facebook ads, like social media ads, and then also streaming. So
yep.
it's definitely and I had Roger Barnett from the Muffs on, and he said streaming's good to him. I mean, the Muffs obviously have had some the kids in America, like people are still discovering that song, but he said he gets a check every month. And he was like, when I was on a record label, I didn't get a check every month. Regardless of how much the check is for, gets a check from streaming every month. I mean, so yeah. Um, so when we talked, you did say that you were kind of an old school wrestling fan. Um,
Correct.
let's if you don't mind, let's dive into that a little bit. Because personally, like I've been a wrestling fan for almost 50 years, since I was 4, so it's about 47 years. And I used to be a wrestling promoter. I trained to wrestle. I had one match and hurt my knees and was like, "This is not for me." But
I'll
but
just watch it now. It's okay.
but I was able to get into the other parts of the business first as like a producer, and then a ring announcer and a manager,
Yep.
and then promoting shows. So, what was it that got you interested in wrestling when you were younger, man?
My dad.
Yeah.
My dad, he'd always have it on TV. We'd watch
That's,
the, you know, WWF stuff because it was
yeah.
local up here. So, and then there was a promoter inside town that, like, when the wrestlers were in Boston on Friday night, they would look for other gigs around the area on the weekend. So I'd see the Samoans and I'd see Tito Santana and all those other dudes that era up the
Yeah.
street at my high school. So we would just go, and it's just something that's always stuck. So,
Do you remember Pete Doherty?
oh yeah, yeah.
Was he was he huge in
No,
was
he was just a jobber.
it's well, no, but I remember like whenever they would show matches from the Boston Garden, the crowd would go nuts for him.
Yeah, yeah. He's a local guy. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he'd hang out at the bar in Dorchester. That's why.
Awesome.
You know,
Cool.
got to cheer for the local guy.
Yeah, of course, man. So yeah, that's what I was wondering, was he like a big star around the, or, around the Massachusetts, like around
Him,
Dorchester?
I'm friends with Danny Davis too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Danny's a nice guy. Um, he's tough to work with, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
But all those guys, you know, they just continue to, they do a lot of signings now,
sure, sure, sure.
that type world.
Yeah, it's wild because people don't realize Danny Davis was a wrestler before he was a referee, and then he wrestled and refereed at the same time because
Yep.
he used to wrestle with a mask on as Mr. X,
Yeah.
and then of course he joined the Heart Foundation, and then the
I
whole.
bought a lot of his stuff. I ended up buying like a lot of Mr. X stuff. And I was on that WWE Hidden Treasure show. So
Oh yeah,
so I was on the Brutus Beefcake episode. So if you
nice,
watch that, you get to see all my collection and everything like that.
awesome, man. Yeah, I actually just watched the Brutus Beefcake Dark Side of the Ring. It's a weird watch, man. But
Yeah, those are pretty interesting. I like watching those.
yeah, there's the Eddie Gilbert one coming up this season. I don't know if they've aired it yet, but if they have, I haven't watched it. And I'm a huge Eddie Gilbert fan, so I hope that they do it right.
They don't burst your bubble and just
Yeah.
let you down.
I know the good and the bad about him, but it's just like I hope they give him the respect because
Yeah,
Eddie, I mean, Eddie created ECW basically. You
yeah.
know, so
And we used to see that. They had that in like local gyms and stuff in Fall River.
right. I remember. Yeah. I remember when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling, they used to run up around the Massachusetts area and did a lot of shows in PA and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we did a show. My buddy Teddy Goods is a retired now, local wrestler, but he's a promoter. And
okay.
we did a show on a beach, like a beach bar thing. And we played Man in the Box, and Tommy Dreamer came out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's really cool. So you actually got involved in the wrestling scene as more than just a fan and a collector, like.
Yeah, I worked with Ron Simmons and pretty much all the Nation dudes except like Mark Henry and The Rock, but like Godfather, D'Lo Brown, and we would go around the Comic Cons, Demolition, and just hustle money, just get autographs and have a good time.
That's
Real
awesome.
Animal, we worked with him too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember a few years ago when I was running, I wanted to bring Animal in. He was a lot older at that point, and they were like, he'll come in, he'll do a seminar. If he has to wrestle, he'll wrestle, but he doesn't want to anymore. He was like, so we're talking, hot tag, 2 clotheslines, doomsday device.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, we'll talk about it. At the end, we couldn't come together on the money, unfortunately. But
yeah, he was expensive. He definitely did, but he made it. To me, probably top 3 tag teams in
for sure,
all time.
right.
I mean,
And then,
if you put up a picture of the 35th president and a picture of the Road Warriors to some kid, like, who's this and who's this, they'd be like, that's the Road Warriors.
yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And with me being in the Midwest, like they were so big out here. They were from Minnesota. They were announced as being from Chicago. So I mean, it would if I could have come up with somebody to help invest in bringing him out, maybe it would have been worth it. I'm sure we would have made our money,
Yep.
but just couldn't get it together.
But
But
just to let you know, he was a good guy. Definitely.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I never talked to him, but his agent was really cool. Like, I didn't get the feeling that he was trying to, hustle me or anything. It just couldn't get it together. So I did bring in Raven once. Raven was cool. I was such a big fan of his from like my whole life, even back to the Scotty the Body days. So,
He's
bringing
definitely a unappreciated guy, and
yeah,
even in WCW, he was still cool.
yeah, for sure. And he's got such a good mind. Like, he did a seminar for us, and just watching him explain wrestling to these kids, was really cool to watch. And he was talking about how you can be a cool heel, but you have to do something that the fans will hate. Like, you can't just be cool. Like, and I mentioned when he was in the GWF and he was Scotty Anthony, and he wore like the neon colors and he got the girls and stuff, but he would do the three Z's and a snap, the three snaps and a Z. And I was like, girls do that, and it was like, that was the thing. It's like, dude, so it totally makes sense, like how he was explaining it. I think that's a problem nowadays with a lot of the heels. Like, they just want to be cool. They don't realize you have to be cool and hated, you know?
I try not to. I'll be honest with you. I watch pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Really don't watch everything, and there's too much of it now. It's 7 days a week. It's just not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. And
I like the AEW stuff because it's almost like ECW stuff. It definitely has that vibe to it. But
right. I think a lot of it too, like, we actually had more wrestling on TV in the 80s, but there was territories and everybody wrestled a different style.
yeah,
Like, if you were watching the NWA and the UWF and the WWF, you were watching three different kinds of wrestling. Whereas now, I mean, AEW is a little more hardcore in ways, like that, the John Moxley stuff, but at the
yeah,
same time, the way that people wrestle, like, everybody takes the same bump now. Nobody bumps. Like, Junkyard Dog had his own bumping style. Raven disputed me on this. He said a bump is a bump is a bump. But I swear, if you go back and look at the matches from the 80s, not everybody just did this fall and slap. Like, not everybody did that, man. You
yeah.
know, it's just different now. I'd rather go back and watch the old stuff, but unfortunately I do a wrestling podcast, so so I watch the stuff. I watch the
That's
modern.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's good stuff out there. NXT and TNA are both pretty fun. But
Yeah, I don't know. After the whole, no, it's killed it. Internet people, like,
yeah.
nobody is happy, even on people's Facebooks or whatever. But like, they could have, best match in AEW in history, Kenny Omega, and when Brian, when Danielson was there, and just everything. Nobody is happy. No one can just be like, let's just watch wrestling.
Right.
That's what I miss about back in the day. Let's just some of the worst. You want to watch worse wrestling? TBS Saturday night 6:05. Gordon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the worst wrestling in history, but some of the best because there was no comments on it. There was no one ripping it apart. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. Just go watch Cougar J.
Just the road warriors just taking these guys' necks off that they hired from down the street when they're sitting there having lunch and say, "Hey man, you guys want to wrestle tonight?" And they just dominate.
Yeah, funny stuff. One thing that I don't like about the modern era of wrestling too is, like, as far as the fans go, not every wrestler who's good has to be a champion, and not every wrestler who's great has to be the world champion. Now it's like like if Rusev doesn't win a world title eventually, people are going to be so pissed. It's just like, Don Morocco was never a world champion.
Either was Piper.
Yeah, neither was Piper. And Piper went most of his career, at least the second half of it, without any belts at all. Just
He held some in the NWA, but like WWE, I don't think he held anything.
he had the Intercontinental title really late. He won it from Bret Hart.
Okay.
But yeah, but yeah, that was the that's the only belt he ever had in the WWF was the
But he
Intercontinental.
didn't have to win a belt. Like you
Right.
can't. You got to look at it that like how much more popular is that person going to be wearing a belt?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
people that have the belt kind of need the belt.
Right.
Like, come on, Cody as a champion. Come on, no,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. As a promoter, when I was trying to figure out who to put the title on, it was always like, who can elevate the title, but also who's the title going to elevate? Like,
yeah,
put it on them, and it's like, oh, it gives them that initial push, and then once they get out there and do their work, they make the title more important. I think people need to really look at that, and if everybody gets a belt, it's not as important anymore. And I think that's one of the things that I hate the most about modern wrestling. It's just how it's like everybody who's good has to win a championship, or people whine and complain and bitch, and it's just irritating, man.
yep.
Um, so, are you still involved in the wrestling stuff as far as bringing guys into conventions and stuff like that, or is that kind of
I retired from that. My store is super busy. The
yeah?
last person I worked with was with the Godfather.
Oh,
And it was just my store is so busy, and my mindset with this All Sinners project, I can only take on so much. I
yeah,
miss going to the Comic Cons and having fun and going out to eat, with all the dudes and hearing the stories and stuff. But
yeah,
owning a store and then trying to get this record out. Like last night, we did thank yous, and I sent all our thank yous, and then we're going back and forth, and my singer's working on the lyrics today, putting everything. So I kind of I really want to concentrate on one thing right now.
for sure, man. Yeah, and I know I mentioned it earlier, but I want to reiterate, like your singer, he has a great voice, man.
Don't
Like I
tell
said,
them that.
he sounds a
Don't,
lot like Ronnie Dio, man. I did you hear what you said.
don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. No.
I'm sure he hears it.
So we were super young. We were like 18, 19 years old, and he sang in a band called Thought Junkie. I actually put out their record, and my store puts out like local records. Like I put out the Drain record, CTK, Thought Junkie, a band called Wilhelm Scream, which is a really big punk band. I like putting, I don't want to say local legends, but local, how can I say, just history. I guess that's a better word. He was in this band. This band should have been Soundgarden. This band should have been. It was on that level. They were so good. And I was online one night, and I was playing in a cover band, an '80s cover band, and my singer quit. And just inbox the group. Hey guys, can't do this anymore. My wife doesn't want me to do it anymore. We're like, oh, okay, whatever. I put it online. I'm like, anybody want to sing for an '80s cover band? And he chimed in. I do. Here we are 5 years later. A couple of years we were nothing but I don't want to say nothing, but we were a cover band, but with the original thing. I couldn't imagine anybody else singing in front of me. Like I feel Mike probably has one of the best vocal styles
Yeah,
that I've ever played with. Very talented dude.
very cool, man. Yeah, so on top of the record store, you also, I mean, your record store is kind of a record label as well. That's really cool, man. That's I mean, it's fascinating to me how that stuff is still happening. Like in the '90s, there was so many independent labels that were putting out stuff and getting attention because the independent scene was blowing up. But now you don't really hear about it as much anymore. But it's really cool that there's still people out there putting out music on a local level. And
Yeah, we hope. What I hope is the stuff that I do put out later on, especially with the All Center stuff. Like I put out, we make belt buckles. We do, not stupid things, but we did like foolish trinket things. And if this band ever it does hit or get some popularity, like people will have to go back and find that stuff.
right,
Yeah.
sure.
So that's what I hope for, on our EP. Like we've done like 7,000 CDs on our EP, but we only did about 100 each on the records.
Okay.
So, but the label works and it works with the store.
Awesome, man. So, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap stuff up. But before we go,
Okay.
you have so much stuff going on, man. So, let's get some plugs going. Like, what's the address of your record store? Where can we find All Sinners online? All that good stuff.
So purchasestreetrecords.com. It out of New Bedford, Massachusetts. Super easy to find. There's plenty of, we've been around 8 years at this point. So we have a good foundation online. allsinnerscult.com. That has photos of the band and all the link tree stuff to all the music that you can grab and listen to all the online platforms. The record label on purchasestreetrecords.com. I also put out Seamless record, which was Jesse from Killswitch, Derek from Unearth, the first and second record. So like the whole record label is on there. I don't know if the Drain one is. I think we got to put that one up there, but that's mainly it. And just on Spotify, if you feel like listening to a guy that sounds like Dio with a halfway decent drummer, just look up All Sinners, and hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Right on, man. So yeah, I want to thank Roger for coming on. This has been really cool, man. It's a good conversation. I hope we covered all the bases.
I hope to have dinner with you one time in your area. That's what
that'd be very cool. Yeah, if you're ever down in if you're ever in Ohio, Kentucky, or Indiana, we could make it happen, man. That's my area. So I want to thank my producer Tyler Martin and Emmy Studios. He's gonna get in there and do some editing this week because we had a couple little hiccups. So thank you, Tyler. I want to thank everyone. Oh, you're good, brother. It happens. He, at the very least, usually has to make me look a little better. But, I want to thank everybody who's listening to the podcast. We continue to grow, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. If you check out this interview and you want to go back, everything we've got is on Spotify and YouTube. Next week, I can't remember who we've got on, but whoever it is, I'm sure it'll be fun. So, Roger, man, thank you once again, brother. This has been a good time. Don't forget to check out the WWE Hidden Treasures episode with Roger on it, because it's the Brutus Beefcake episode. That's a really interesting show on A&E. And you can watch it.
It was a lot of fun when we did that. It was good.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm gonna go watch it when we get off. So, but yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for the support, and we will see you next week with more Most Excellent Entertainment.